final saga of One Piece has begun, and you are not ready for it. Oda is wrapping up the story, and as a result, many character arcs are coming to an end. For some characters, this means the ultimate end: death. The plot armor that has saved many characters in the past is starting to fade, and as a result, I think us fans should prepare for the arcs ahead. This is not new to storytelling. As the series comes to a close, characters die. One Piece is pretty unique in this area, considering how infamous Oda is for not killing off characters. Although Oda is known for not killing off many of his characters, I think it would be very naive to assume that everyone will make it to the end. Anyone who has paid attention to the story knows that Oda plans out the story far in advance, often planning for many arcs in the future. When Oda does decide to kill off a character, he does not hold back, even killing off fan favorite characters. Now that we are in the final saga, even our beloved cast of main characters are not exempt from this potential fate. And if you think the idea of any Strawhat dying is impossible, keep watching, and I will explain why it is more likely than you think. As a result, I have compiled a list of characters that I believe might die before the story reaches its climax. In this video, I will address some theories, foreshadowing, and throw in a few predictions of my own, from fan favorites to even Straw Hats. Spoilers ahead if you are not up to date with the One Piece manga. Trafalgar D. Water Law. Starting off this list is Trafalgar Law. Ever since we learned about the Opi Opi no Mi's ability to grant eternal youth, there has been a massive death flag hanging over Law's head. Law is one of those characters that even though everyone loves him, most people fully expect him to die in the future. The eternal youth surgery is something that we must see in the future, and as far as we know, Law's fruit is the only one capable of doing it. While I do believe we have to see the eternal youth surgery at some point, I don't believe that Law has to be the person to do it. If someone from the Void Century performs the surgery in a flashback, that fulfills the same purpose, but that is just my opinion. I still believe Law will die in the future, but for a different reason. Yes, Law being a member of the D-Clan may be cool, but it is more like a double-edged sword. The D-Clan members have a track record of dying with a smile on their face, which is not good for Law. There is also the threat of outside forces like Blackbeard. Law's fruit is without a doubt one of the rarest and most sought after devil fruits. Now Law is face to face with Blackbeard in a fight he will definitely lose. Blackbeard has not shown interest in Law's devil fruit so far, but I am sure he knows just how powerful and rare it is. The only possible way for Law to live is to escape from Blackbeard. I do believe that Law will escape this situation, but I will cover how in a different video. Law's goal as a pirate, as far as I can tell, was to defeat Doflamingo, and now his true goal at this point in the story is to learn about the truth of the D initial and the will of D. Law's encounter with Blackbeard has yet to be decided, but whether he is defeated by Blackbeard or through other means, I believe he will ultimately share the fate as other D-Clan members before him. Red-haired Shanks. Shanks is another character many fans have marked for death. People across the One Piece community have theorized for years that Shanks will die at the hands of Blackbeard. I also believe this is very likely going to happen. Shanks and Blackbeard have been intertwined with one another on multiple occasions throughout the story. Shanks has always been wary of Blackbeard ever since he scarred him. Shanks has stated that Blackbeard was able to scar him despite him not lowering his guard. And we all know that Shanks is one of the most powerful characters in the series. This means that Blackbeard has incredible combat prowess that he's not fully shown yet, or a secret ace up his sleeve. Luffy has always had two prominent endgame opponents, Blackbeard and Akainu. Whilst the mere mention of Akainu's name causes Luffy pain, Blackbeard's name just seems to annoy Luffy. Luffy has a very good reason to hate Akainu, and although Blackbeard played a part in Ace's downfall, it was ultimately Ace's actions that led to his demise. There needs to be something, a catalyst that makes the final confrontation between Luffy and Blackbeard very personal. Shanks' death at the hands of Blackbeard may be that event. If Shanks does have the final road poneglyph, that would give Blackbeard a very good reason to fight Shanks. The red-haired pirates and the Blackbeard pirates have been set on a collision course ever since Marineford, and as impressive as Shanks looks, the odds are not in his favor. Let's just look at the facts. Blackbeard was able to scar Shanks before he had the Yami Yami no Mi or the Gori Gori no Mi, and while Shanks had two arms. On top of that, Blackbeard is likely going to get a third devil fruit, and his crew is comprised of devil fruit users. The Blackbeard pirates are specifically targeting powerful and rare devil fruits, which means they are going to have incredible abilities in the future. The red-haired pirates don't seem to have any devil fruit users of their own, and whilst hockey is important, it may not be enough against the overwhelming force of the Blackbeard pirates. If Blackbeard's final devil fruit is what I think it is, then Shanks' chances of defeating Blackbeard are next to none. Luffy stated to Shanks that he would have a crew that is better than his. I believe that defeating the Blackbeard pirates will be how the Straw Hats prove that they are superior to the red-haired pirates, by succeeding where they failed. Marco and the Whitebeard pirates. So I won't spend too much time on this section, as I have already done a video explaining why I believe Marco will die in the future. I will link it in the description. The short version is this. I believe that Marco's Phoenix Fruit is going to be Blackbeard's third and final devil fruit. For more depth on this topic, you can watch that video. Expanding on this topic, I find it interesting that Oda is constantly keeping Marco by himself. Rather than joining a powerful crew like Shanks' crew, Marco is alone on Sphinx Island. We have already seen Marco form bonds with the people there. Sphinx Island meant a lot to Whitebeard, and as a result it means a lot to Marco. Oda is definitely going somewhere with this. If Blackbeard shows up to Sphinx Island and starts destroying it, Marco will fight him. Sphinx Island was one of Whitebeard's treasures, and Marco will protect it. As strong as Marco is, he stands no chance against Blackbeard, much less him and his entire crew. On top of that, Blackbeard's darkness fruit is the perfect counter to Marco's phoenix fruit. Ordinarily, Marco is pretty much unkillable, but once Blackbeard turns off his devil fruit, he is just an ordinary man. On top of that, Marco has stated that the Whitebeard pirates knew that Whitebeard was sending money to Sphinx Island, which means that Blackbeard most likely knows where Sphinx Island is located. If Nekomamushi, someone who has spent far less time as a Whitebeard pirate, knew about Sphinx Island, Blackbeard definitely knows about it. Judging from what happened to Hancock, Blackbeard has a hit list and he's checking it twice. I have a feeling that Marco is on that list, which leads us to the rest of the Whitebeard pirates. Weevil has been hunting down the Whitebeard pirates for some time now, and has more than likely been successful in his hunts. With the results of the Payback War and Weevil's exploits not fully explained, it is possible that many of the Whitebeard pirates have already met their end. I think we can all agree that the only Whitebeard pirates that people actually care about are Marco, Jozu, and Vista. No one is going to cry if Kuriel got killed off screen. The Whitebeard pirate that I really want to talk about though is Jozu. Having already lost an arm and having a powerful devil fruit, the Blackbeard pirates would target him without a doubt. There had to be casualties from the Payback War, and if any Whitebeard pirate of value died in that war, my money is on Jozu. The Whitebeard pirates have not been having a good time throughout the series, and I believe they will be completely wiped out before the story is over. Blackbeard was the plague that started the downfall of the Whitebeard pirates, and I believe he will be the one to put the final nail in the coffin of the Whitebeard pirate crew. This final section of the video is dedicated to the possible death of Straw Hats, as any Straw Hat death would greatly affect the main characters. There are 4 Straw Hats on my list. That does not mean that all 4 will die, only that out of all 10 of them, I can only see 4 of them possibly dying. 2 Straw Hats I think are guaranteed, and 2 I am not so sure about. I do believe that every Straw Hat will make it to the final island and find out what the One Piece is, but after the treasure is claimed, the gloves are off and anything can happen. Luffy has already gotten a taste of what it is like to lose his friends, but that was just a taste. Before the story is over, Luffy may have to deal with the permanent loss of 1 or more of his Nakama. Jinbei, First Knight of the Sea. My personal favorite Straw Hat. Jinbei is one of the most likely Straw Hats to possibly die in the future, just based off of how Oda is writing him as a character. Ever since Jinbei was introduced, he has been ready to die. He has shown time and time again that he is ready and willing to lay down his life for someone he respects. Oda has even written Jinbei as a type of guardian figure to Luffy. Oda has constantly put Jinbei in between Luffy and danger, even before he became a Straw Hat. Stopping Luffy's clash with Blackbeard at Impel Down, which he would have undoubtedly lost, watching over him at Marineford, protecting him from Akainu multiple times at Marineford, staying behind to buy the Straw Hats time to escape Whole Cake Island. Ever since he was introduced, he has been watching over Luffy. Oda has even teased the idea of Jinbei dying through Big Mom's Wheel of Misfortune and her soul Pocus. Some fans even speculate that Jinbei's attire during the Whole Cake Island arc foreshadows his demise. Jinbei has shown that he is willing to lay down his life for Luffy's, and whilst other Straw Hats are prepared to carry out that duty, I believe it will ultimately be Jinbei that carries it out. Jinbei wants to help Luffy become the king of the pirates, even if it costs him his life, and in the future of the story, it just might. God Usopp. Usopp is one of the more interesting cases among the Straw Hats. Many of the Straw Hats' dreams require that they finish their journey, or find the One Piece, becoming the Pirate King, creating a map of the world, learning the true history, or even having the Thousand Sunny traverse the world. Usopp's dream is completely different though, since it can honestly be completed at any time. So why do I think Usopp may die in the future? For one, he himself has already foreshadowed it, stating that he would not mind dying an honorable death as long as he is a brave warrior of the sea. It also goes without saying that Usopp's death would greatly affect Luffy. Usopp and Luffy have had a complex relationship at times, but they have been shown to be very close friends above all else. I do have my own take on this subject though. I have always believed that Usopp would one day return to Syrup Village to be with Kaya at the end of the story. He would tell her about his crazy adventures, except this time it would actually be the truth. He may even start his own crew with the kids from his village. These opinions of mine have not changed. I do believe there is a way for Usopp to die in the story and still return to Syrup Village at the end of the story. It all depends on the next Straw Hat on this list. Soul King Brook. I promise you the irony of Brook dying is not lost on me. But in all seriousness, I think Brook is most likely not going to make it to the end. I know some people believe he will outlive all of the Straw Hats, but I actually feel the opposite. Brook has already lived a full life, and has even died and come back to life. Brook's devil fruit, the Yomi Yomi no Mi, allowed his soul to come back to his body after his death. The main reason I believe Brook will die is mostly speculation, but hear me out. If his devil fruit brought him back to life at base, what do you think his awakening will do? He may be able to bring someone back to life in return for his own life. That is my theory anyway. As I mentioned earlier, I believe Usopp and Jinbei could die in the future, but if any one of them were going to come back to life, I would put my money on Usopp. Brook has already had a full life, being 90 years old currently. He was the leader of a battle convoy, a pirate in the Rumbar and Strawhat crews. He even became a world-renowned musician. After many years of being alone on his ship, he has found friends once again and he can truly be happy. Brook is also a complete character, not really needing any personal growth for his character. Once the One Piece is found, Luffy and the Straw Hats would have completed their lap around the world, and Brook would be able to reunite with Laboon once again. After Brook's dream of reuniting with Laboon is completed, he would reach the end of his character journey and have nothing else to do in the story. He would not have any regrets if he dies after living a complete life and completing all of his goals. I do believe we will see most, if not all, of the Straw Hat Devil Fruit awakenings before the story is over, and this makes the most sense for Brook's awakening in my opinion. Brook has already shown that he was ready to lay down his life for the Straw Hats, even shortly after joining them, which I think is foreshadowing on Oda's part. If Brook is going to lay down his life, he will only do it for another Straw Hat. Straw Hat Luffy. Last but not least, Luffy. Yes, you knew it was coming. Luffy is one of the Straw Hats I feel is most likely going to die. Luffy's potential death has been speculated by many in the community for some time now, with many people leaning towards him dying in the end. Before the time skip, Oda has shown two things that were shortening Luffy's life: Gear Second and Ivankov's hormones. During Luffy's fight with Lucci, it was noted that Gear Second is killing Luffy slowly, and Luffy knows this and continues to use it. Gear Second is one of Luffy's main go-tos in a fight, and he has undoubtedly used it many times before and after the time skip, so it is unclear how much damage has already been done to Luffy so far. We also don't know how much Luffy used Gear Second during his training. Then we get to Ivankov's hormone treatment, which was stated to take off 10 years of Luffy's life. Luffy was injected with the hormones twice, so at the very least he has already lost 20 years of his life. We don't know how many years have already been taken off of Luffy's life between the constant use of Gear Second and Ivankov's hormone treatment. What we do know is that Luffy is the man who will become king of the pirates, and like his predecessor before him, Luffy may pass on to start a new era. Now that Luffy has emerged as Joy Boy and become the sun god Nika, it is clear that Luffy and his crew will be the ones to bring about the dawn of the world. After his mission is completed, Luffy would have fulfilled Roger and Joy Boy's will. Like his fellow D-Clan members before him, Luffy will go out with a smile on his face. As unfortunate as it sounds, I feel Luffy has to die at the end of the story. As long as there is Luffy, the adventure continues. Luffy's death would be the one thing Oda can do to show us that the story is truly over, and there are no more adventures for the Straw Hats ahead. Similar to Gold Roger, Luffy will not get captured, but rather he will turn himself in. Turning himself into Kobe, ending the story where it began, with Kobe being a Marine Admiral and Luffy being the king of the pirates, signifying the end of their respective journeys and the completion of their goals. Now that we are near the climax of the One Piece series, I believe a lot more characters may die in the future. Tell me what you guys think. This list was just my opinion after all. Whilst it is possible that some of the characters on this list die, it is also possible that none of them die. That is the nature of One Piece discussion videos after all. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, or a dislike if you didn't, and consider subscribing for more videos like this in the future. Thanks for watching.